Welcome back to Munro Live. Now today is a little bit different. I know for the most part we have been strictly EVs for the last couple of years now, but today we have a hybrid, a Toyota Tundra. Now some others have done videos for the exterior. I don't know if they'll get into any type of performance stuff, but today we're going to look at the interior. Now I have to tell a story to be completely honest. For the past 20 years, I have been prejudiced against Toyotas. Here's the reason why. I used to work in an equipment rental company, and we would have trucks that would come in, try and rent a trailer with a Bobcat or mini excavator. Twice Toyotas were involved in crashes while towing our equipment. Now these were the first generation. This was back in 2000, 2002. And the issue is that yes, they could tow, but they could not stop. Because of the rental trailers, we did not always know if they had a tow package or the full electrical package for braking. So our trailers were equipped with surge brakes. Surge brakes require a certain back pressure from the vehicle to push on the piston. The theory that we had was that the Toyotas just did not have the stopping power to stop that trailer, which is why they were being pushed into intersections. My theory at the time was, no, it's someone who decides that if they want a truck and they buy a Toyota, do not know how to drive a truck. Again, this was the first generation Toyota Tundra. They were brand new at the time. But that's what was always in my head whenever I looked at or thought about a Toyota Tundra. They have gotten much better over the years. As a matter of fact, the publicity stunt with the Toyota towing the space shuttle in Texas. Okay, maybe they're better now. So let's look at the interior for this vehicle. This vehicle's selling price is $77,000. I prefer a light interior. This is white and black. Well, white is very light, and the way they break up, all of the white you see basically above the belt line, black solid below that. So it's a hard brake line. You see it going from the IP to the doors to the middle of the seat back. All right, so they made a decision there. Normally I would like it to be flowing throughout the entire vehicle. This has a hard separation, but that's fine. Looking at the door, you see how it is not really a flow-through design. It's kind of boxy. Each piece is its own independent standalone feature. Upper panel, all right. I like the nice lighted trim. I guess for electrification, blue is the color that everyone wants now. Armrest. Why would you want a white armrest? Now, to be honest, truck does not really mean truck anymore. Now truck is a luxury vehicle. But if you're actually working and if you're getting dirty and you're driving, an armrest would be the nastiest build-up area. So at least this is going to tell you when it needs to be cleaned. Of course, a button bank, but look, it's just a matte plastic finish. Not a lot of bells and whistles on that feature, even though there are bells and whistles elsewhere in the vehicle. Now, when we did the Tesla, we were talking about the air vents. And we said how Tesla was hiding all of these features. They were simplifying their design. But look at the air vents on this. Those are basically volcanoes. They really protrude from the surface. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a style that some people would like, some people may not. Maybe you're full into the idea of clean, simple lines, hidden features. Maybe you want to have something accented. This design choice, really a lot of room that they're bumping that out of the surface. Now, when talking about simplification of design, we normally talk about the elimination of buttons. It's kind of a pet peeve for some people about having so many buttons in the vehicle. There are a lot of buttons in this vehicle, and some of them are in some pretty odd positions. That button bank that you're looking at on the left of the steering column, my knee almost covers that up. But look at the buttons in the center console. We have a bank of buttons underneath the display screen, but there are two levels here. These buttons are almost hidden, and they operate in a different direction. Now, these hidden buttons, I'll make up a term and just call these shelf buttons, are continued down here as well. A lot of buttons throughout this. Now, there's a design decision that they made right here that I want to show off. This component, see these ribbons. You'd almost think that this would be an opening glove box. Well, it's not. This is just for aesthetics. I like this look. Now let me give an explanation of why I like this look and some reasons why I tried to sell this in the automotive industry in the past. I've had some very high-end vehicles that I've worked on that they wanted to have a wrapped cargo area. Like, okay, so a rear storage or some sort of a cargo bin, you want it to be wrapped. But you know cargo bins are going to get beat up. So you have to put in some sort of a design cue to let them know that this is utility. So if I see a feature like this, even though this is a lot of labor to do it, think about old luggage. An old leather bag or a leather briefcase, how they would have the leather straps for reinforcement of the handles going up along the sides of the bag. It's going to get beat up over time. It's going to wear over time. But when you see these design decisions, or you see this design feature, you get a sense of that leather bag, that luggage, and it tells you what the component is to be used for. So I really like this. As a style, as a breakup from the surface, I like those. I think that they're classy. Now this center console, however, is very complicated. There's a lot going on here. It's very, very wide. So I guess you have a your side and my side type of execution. We have a small storage bin area. I don't know if you'd even be able to put a pen unless it's diagonal across there, but all right, your vehicle registration, your proof of insurance, that's a great spot for it right there. There is a sliding storage bin here, which goes up underneath that other storage bin, providing you access to the main bin. All right, then there's a button so that you can lift this giant U piece to get access to the main area. Okay, so what are my benefits here? I have charge ports, USB ports in here. I could have my wires coming up and be mostly hidden while I have my phone out or anything like that. All right, I can slide that back and still have access to something, but not everything. But this bin, what is the actual benefit of a bin that's going to slide back that doesn't really hold anything in place? You're not going to leave anything in there while you're closing this. It's not even the thickness of my fingers. I think maybe there's too much going on, but maybe someone won't. Now the materials that they chose in here, they do have leather and they have vinyl. It's kind of a mix. But how are they using those materials, or how are they sewing them together? All right, well, look at some features here. Look at how bumpy the join seams are on this front piece here. There's a lot of inconsistency. It's not very cleanly done. Look at the exposed folds. They're not uniform. They actually look different from the way they executed on one side and the other. All right, hopefully those are in hidden areas and they're areas that are not going to affect you or that are not going to bug you. Those are things that pop right out in my head, so I notice them right away. The same thing when we're looking at the door armrest. At first, this looks nice and clean from the outside edge, but it depends on how you view it from. Viewed from the front, you can see this fold. It's very exposed. Now, it looks like a clean fold. Honestly, they could have folded it the other direction and it would have been hidden. But I said, well, maybe they've trained their operators so they want it to be nice and consistent like that across the board. Well, I was hoping that until I looked at the other seats and realized that they're all different. So there's just inconsistency in the method of their wrapping. Again, the average person would probably never notice that. I do. So they're perforated leather seats. Now, the perf changes in its profile. You'll see it starts out with a very large hole, and then as it goes across, becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and then increases in size again. Now, the good thing about this is it kind of breaks it up. It makes it uneven, so sometimes that can hide imperfections. But a while ago, we reviewed the Mercedes, and that Mercedes was just beautiful at $120,000. And we showed how the sewing actually matched alongside the perforation. This is not meant to do that, but they kind of made what I would assume is a bad decision. By having these very flat seams and having multiple pieces of perf side by side, any inconsistency is highlighted. So look at this line of perforation underneath my finger here and follow it. You'll notice how it's going down, 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 and by over here, it's at the bottom. These lines are completely crooked. Same on this side. I have 2 rows down. That 2 rows down by the time I reach here is the first row down. It's crooked. I'm probably crazy, but looking from outside the vehicle, I saw that and it bugged me enough that I wanted to really take a good look. If they do it on flat seams like this, it's noticeable. But look at the seat bottom. This has a very thick, plush underlayer. Because of that, you have a big separation between the seams. You would not notice an inconsistency like that if they had something a little more plush on the seat back. It is a truck. Being a truck, I have a lot of room. A very simple seat back with a mat pocket. Okay. I could not fault any of that. But let's talk about the driver's seat just for a minute. So in the past, when we've talked about seat comfort, I have often complained about not having support underneath my legs. Normally, that's when I'm in the back seat. When you're in the back seat, you have nothing to do with your feet, so you're trying to get comfortable, trying to figure out what to do. If I'm driving, I have a sense of purpose, my legs are doing something. However, they gave me a feature. This button right here folds out the front portion, providing support underneath my legs. If I was on a very long trip, that is something that would be very, very helpful for me. It gives you the support, you can relax as you're driving. I really do like that feature. So let's take a look at that headrest for a moment. So we know that they're doing this two-tone interior. They have black low in vehicle, white up top, but they put a black band into the back of the headrest. Now at first you would think, well, why are you putting the black band on the back of the headrest? Because if you're getting a headrest dirty, you're going to get the front dirty. So that white's just going to say, hey, it's time for me to be cleaned. But let's talk about the headrests in general. All right, the aesthetic look of an interior is very subjective. On a cost basis, however, we want to push for commonality. In the past, on some vehicles, especially some lower end vehicles, we have actually made the recommendation to use a common color headrest no matter what the color of the seat is. So let's say that you had a cream, you had a blue, you had a brown, and you had a black interior. We would say, well, since you're gonna do black accents and highlights anyway, just keep the headrest black on all of the seats. And we have seen some video for some vehicles that we have reviewed that have done that. They've kept a headrest black, or the seat belts. If they had a cream or tan interior, they'll keep a black seat belt rather than have a color matched seat belt. They did that on one of the BMWs that we reviewed, and I forgot to actually bring that up because that's normally a cost save that I would recommend for a $35,000 vehicle, and Mercedes took that cost save on a $75,000 vehicle. A rear compartment or rear seat sunshade. I've worked on a couple of these in the past. As a matter of fact, sometimes they've tried to make them powered. It is a decent material. It has full coverage. That's one thing that I really like. Sometimes they'll have these sunshades that the material is trying to play out or pay out into a certain form, but you have a real angled surface on your vehicle, so the sunshade doesn't really cover much. This covers almost all of the windshield. When you're putting it away, it has a very nice low profile. So honestly, unless you knew it was there, you probably wouldn't have even noticed. I've been asked in the past to do wrapped grab handles, and normally, once we get into the pricing, they throw them out. They realize it's just not cost effective to do a wrapped grab handle. But for those vehicles, they normally wanted to wrap the entire grab handle. You have caps here that cover bolts for securing the main body of the handle. So it's like, do you wrap those caps independently? Do you come up with some other method of attaching them? But then when I'm wrapping a handle, I'm not just putting a piece of leather on it or vinyl and then pulling it to the edge. It's very similar to a steering wheel. I have to hand sew this closed. But on a steering wheel, we are completely wrapping it. This, I'm stopping. So I have to hem a top and bottom edge. I have to close it up, hand sew it closed. It becomes a very expensive feature for something that you only have the area of my hand that is engaging it. So here's the question. Is the benefit of this wrapped portion of this grab handle worth the cost of executing this wrapped portion of the grab handle? And all but one of my customers in the past, after they finally did the development, decided no, it was not worth the cost. So I kind of liked seeing that Toyota actually did that. So it's a Toyota. It is not an electric vehicle. It is a hybrid. So it's not normally within our wheelhouse. It is a luxury truck at $77,000. It has a lot of luxury features, which are quite nice. My question is this a truck that you're driving on a work site, or is this a truck that you're going camping? More than likely, this is the I'm going camping on the weekend truck, or at least the customer that's going to buy this trim level with this type of an interior. I'm not opposed to that. There's a buyer for everything, just whether or not there's enough buyers for everything. So, thank you very much for watching Munro Live. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe and check out our future videos. Have a good day.